Greetings, I'm Mark Stoiber, and I want to talk to you today about putting together a killer 3-minute pitch. Now, Winston Churchill famously said, if you want me to speak for 2 minutes, I will need 3 weeks to prepare. If you want me to speak for 5 minutes, I'll need 1 week to prepare. If you want me to speak for half an hour, I'm ready now. Anybody can speak in public. Anybody can pitch. But if you're going to speak or pitch well, you have to prepare. It's just like Winston Churchill said. So I want to help you with a couple of easy tips that I've helped entrepreneurs with again and again to craft an effective, short, in this case, 3-minute pitch. I think they're going to work for you. They are: 1, figure out what the topics are that you're going to cover in your pitch, and you can't cover a whole lot of them. 2, if you're going to pitch for people, you better practice with people. Involve people in your pitch. 3, bring storytelling into your pitch. You have to create a pitch that people will remember, and therefore you have to bring in storytelling. And finally, practice some more. Let's start right at the top. 1, what topics will you have in your short pitch? Guy Kawasaki, one of the best pitchmen around, famously wrote the 10 slides that you'll need in a pitch. Now, that's fantastic, except that these 10 slides were designed for a 20-minute pitch. The slides are title, problem, opportunity, solution, the magic of the solution, the value proposition, the traction that you're getting, the business model, the go-to market model, the team, the competition, and the use of funds. Now, what's the problem here? If you have 3 minutes and you've got 10 slides to pitch, that means you've got about 18 seconds per slide, or 18 seconds on a topic. That is not nearly enough. Even if you could rattle off a topic in 18 seconds, nobody's going to remember it. Remember, there's an inverse proportion between how many things you try to say and how many things people will actually remember. So what can you say that people will remember? I believe it comes down to 3 things. First, you need people to be attracted. And you need people to say, okay, I understand the context here. So I believe you need to create a foundation. That is, the problem you're trying to solve, the opportunity that you saw, and the solution that you've created. If you can do that, people will go, that sounds interesting to me. That sounds something familiar to me. That creates the context. So that's the first thing: problem, opportunity, solution. The second thing, what is the magic? The reason you put in the magic, what your company or your solution does better than the competition, is because you want to add sparkle to your pitch. You want people to listen and go, oh, I've never heard that before. That sounds really cool. And 3, you want people to go, yeah, I want to find out more. How do you do that? By talking about the traction that you've already gotten. How many other people like your product or solution? Remember, people love to hear that other people have succeeded because of a solution. That's how you get them to say, I want to know more. So the first thing you have to do to craft an effective short pitch is severely limit the number of topics that you're going to cover. And I believe the best topics to cover are problem, opportunity, solution, magic, and traction. So now let's move on. The second thing to create a great 3-minute pitch. People love to practice in isolation. This is completely natural because it puts you in a vulnerable position if you're pitching. It's like you're saying, this is my baby. Do you like my baby? It's very, very hard to hear that people don't like your baby. However, if you involve people in your pitch, chances are you won't feel as vulnerable if you get up in front of people to pitch. So the second thing that I want you to do is involve people in your pitch. I always say if you're going to pitch to people, you have to pitch with people, even if you're the only person on stage. What does this mean? It means turning pitching into a team sport. It means bringing colleagues in on the action to help you with ideas and help you rehearse. Why do you do this? 3 reasons. First reason, it takes the pressure off of you. If you're the only person coming up with ideas for the pitch, that makes it really hard and really scary. Second reason, if you involve people in your pitch who have different perspectives, chances are your pitch is going to reflect that, and it's going to appeal to people with different perspectives, widening your audience. And third, and most important, it takes down the fear factor. If you're the only person responsible for a pitch, that means all the pressure is on you. It's all your ideas. If, however, other people were responsible in generating the ideas in your pitch, that means it's part of a team effort. So you're only partly vulnerable when you're up on stage. That takes the fear factor down, and it makes you feel more liberated, saying this is something that we all came up with together. I'm just the presenter of the ideas. So again, first thing you want to do, you want to severely limit the number of topics that you cover in your pitch. 2, you want to bring people into your pitch to help put it together so that you feel less vulnerable when you're putting it out there. Third thing you want to do, stories. What's the purpose of a pitch? To convey an idea. Oh no, there's more. To convey an idea that people will remember and will pass along. What's the one thing that we, since we lived up in trees, have loved to hear and pass along? Stories. If you can turn your pitch, your short pitch, into a great, captivating story, the chances go through the roof that people will remember it and want to tell that story to their friends. Now, there's a whole bunch of different stories that you can tell. Most people say, I don't want to talk about myself, I'm the founder. Well, that's only one story that you can tell. Now, just to refresh, a founder story is, who were you before you came up with this great idea? How'd you come up with the idea? How'd you turn the idea into a product or a solution? What was the journey along the way from incubating this idea into turning it into a successful idea today? And finally, where does it go from here? So that's the founder story, but that's just one story. There are many other stories. For example, the customer story. Who was the customer before they discovered your product? How are they limping along with the solutions they had? 2, how did they discover your product or solution? 3, how did it change their lives? There's also the market and the venture story. What was the market like before your product came along? When your product came along, how did it blow the market wide open? Next is the venture story, which is who is in your company? How did they all come together? What difference have they made, and how have they taken the company to a new height? So there you go. You've got the origin story, the founder story, the customer story, the market story, and the venture story. Again, back to the top. Severely limit the number of topics you're going to talk about. Use people in your pitch to practice to make it better. 3, tell stories. And now the final piece in creating a great short pitch. Practice, practice, and practice some more. So many people that I have spoken to say, I don't want to practice my pitch because practicing kills the spontaneity of my pitch. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the more you rehearse, the more spontaneous you become. Why? Because practicing takes things from conscious, that is, you have to think about them, to the unconscious, which is you don't have to think about them anymore, which is exactly where you want your pitch to be. You want it to sort of come out of your unconsciousness, that you can rattle it off. Somebody can roll you out of bed, shake you awake, and you can recite your pitch. Why is this important? Because things happen during pitches. Somebody interrupts you with a question. Somebody's phone goes off. Somebody coughs. Something goes wrong. You don't want, in situations like this, to stop and stumble and worry about where you are. You want your unconscious just to go, oh yeah, that's where we stopped. Here's where we're going to take off again. That's why you practice, practice, practice. So, in conclusion, 4 things. 1, severely limit the number of topics that you're going to talk about. 2, bring people in to help craft a better pitch. 3, tell stories. And 4, practice, practice, and practice some more. I hope these tips are helpful, and I hope that they help you create a more powerful short pitch. I'd love to hear how you do. Drop me a line.